Hey everyone, welcome to the Uplift. Oh boy, we got a great show for you today. Great cast of characters as well. Among them, these two friends who wanted to bring their cultures together and have now connected countless people in their community. Also, two men who became friends when they were both trying to survive. Well, how'd they meet exactly? We'll tell you. Plus, a girl who thought her basketball dream was over until she met some friends who showed her the way to play. Plus, a young woman who helped restore her family business. How did she do it? What simple tool did she use to save the restaurant? We'll get into it. All of that, plus our heartwarming videos, the ones you just need to see. You know what you're watching, The Uplift. Hey there, I'm Tony DeCopel, and this is the show that lifts you up for the next 30 minutes, at least, you and me as well. And we're going to begin with a story about two friends who wanted to bridge the gap between their cultures, and they found a simple way to do so and bring people together. Here's Adriana Diaz with more.
For longtime friends Brandon Colvin and Jacob Smith, it's always a good time for game time.
Who's got better game?
Oh.
Brandon's 4 years older than me, so.
Here's what I'll say about that. I don't like to play directly against Jacob because he's got a little bit too much energy. So when we're on the same team, it works well.
Together, they work really well. For 5 years, they've collaborated on sold-out dinners that bring together the Black and Jewish communities to promote one thing.
Trust. When you have those organic social collisions, so to speak, I look at you a little differently. I have a greater capacity to empathize.
Smith is Jewish and from Detroit suburbs. Colvin grew up Christian in Montgomery, Alabama.
On the next plane, say peace to the earthlings.
They met more than a decade ago in Detroit's startup scene and bonded over a love of music.
Wonder why I'm feeling guilty when my people say the chosen.
Including this song they recorded together.
Underfoot, this feeling feels foreign.
And a love of their communities.
Brandon started bringing me into spaces, predominantly Black spaces. There's kind of a standoffishness that you can sometimes feel as a white person coming into the city, just being honest, in my experience. And what Brandon allowed for me was to step into certain spaces and had just the most incredible experiences.
Jacob has been a gateway and a doorway into Jewish culture that I had never experienced. I've been to Passover. I didn't realize that I could have this type of brotherhood across another culture until I met Jacob.
I think he liked that.
We met at a 100-year-old former synagogue turned Black church.
So this building is the intersection between Detroit's Jewish community and Black community, right?
Absolutely.
Its history mirrors the city's story. After many Black Americans moved north to Detroit during the Great Migration of the 20th century, discriminatory housing laws led to overcrowding. Many white residents, including white Jews, were able to move to the suburbs, perpetuating a segregation that persists today.
Even though our cultures are different in a lot of ways, we both have a history that involves oppression.
For Jewish people, there's kind of this unique balance of, in today's day and age, being perceived with white skin. I can tuck in my Star of David necklace to go into a job interview, while at the same time having a very real lived experience with rising anti-Semitism.
He can tuck in his Star of David. I obviously am Black everywhere I go. But what I think I really appreciate is that we see people who are able to take advantage of certain privileges, ensure that they are leveraging those privileges for the benefit of other people.
The communities famously joined forces during parts of the civil rights movement. But in recent years, the relationship between the groups has been in the spotlight for a different reason.
Kyrie Irving finally apologized for his social media post promoting an anti-Semitic movie.
I could say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me.
Adidas did drop Kanye West after that remark.
When we have these divisive comments that get made, I think they're really missing the space to sort of reach over the aisle, to join hands and sort of be together and on the same page.
Hey, can everybody hear me okay?
Colvin and Smith held their latest cross-cultural dinner, what they called the Coalition Series, at the Detroit Historical Museum. A Shabbat meal catered by a local black chef.
I think we all have something we can learn from each other.
I didn't know that they had similar struggles to what we had.
Shane Sperling has been attending Smith and Colvin's events for years. His mother is white and Jewish, and his father is black.
There's situations where the Jews were not good to black people not good to Jews, but it makes me proud, just as a black Jew, to know that there are people that want to know and want to have a conversation.
There's this horrible stereotype of like comparing oppressions, right? Yeah. Like, how do you deal with that?
If we get into the sort of oppression Olympics sort of conversation, it's almost a non-starter as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, it's counterproductive. I think the real conversation should be, what can these two communities come up with given their shared understanding of what it is like to achieve in spite of?
Achieving progress together.
Together is the only way, and they're shown that way. All right, coming up, meet two friends who bonded over their will to survive.
I was at the lowest point in my life. I had no energy to do anything, basically. Just to lean on one another and see the progress that he's making, the progress that I'm making, and we share with each other. I don't have the words for it.
Plus those heartwarming videos that you just need to see. There's one on your screen now. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Uplift, and welcome back to those heartwarming videos, the ones you just need to see. We're going to start with one from Vernon Jackson. He's a barber in Cincinnati who collects donations to provide free haircuts for children with special needs at his shop. It's called Noble Barber and Beauty. He often shares videos of his heartwarming interactions with his clients, and this one in particular with 7-year-old Ellison went viral. Take a look.
All right, ready to go? That one. Okay, this one? Here we go.
There you go, buddy.
You go. Good job using your words.
Now let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
There we go. Did you say go?
Yeah.
Oh, go. Okay.
Go.
No off switch for that smile. That's a beautiful one. All right, our next video shows a woman named Desiree surprising her best friend of 18 years at the airport. Desiree says her friend Kaylee was going on a trip to celebrate her 40th birthday, and she had no idea she'd see her when she got there.
You didn't think I was going to let you turn 40 without me? Yeah, we are. Our bags are already checked.
Desiree told us that they have been friends since high school, and they've been there for each other through life's ups, like getting married and having kids. But what solidified their friendship is supporting each other through life's downs. It's a beautiful relationship there. All right, we now want to introduce you to two friends who met in a very unique place while they were both fighting to survive. Here's CBS Sacramento's Adrian Moore with their story.
The first couple of days we would just kind of wave at each other and, hey, how you doing kind of thing.
When Wendell Stallworth and Dave Ford arrived at Sacramento's Sutter Medical Center last year, they had no idea their failing hearts would make them fast friends.
I spent 47 days here in the hospital, and God gave me a lot of visions while I was here.
Through countless phone calls and lunches, the two men, both in their 60s, bonded over their shared fight to survive.
I was at the lowest point in my life. I had no energy to do anything, basically. Just to lean on one another and see the progress that he's making, the progress that I'm making, and we share with each other. I don't have the words for it.
This is what it looks like in the heart.
Wendell and Dave received one of these, an Impella heart pump. It's a device about the size of a pencil that supports a patient's circulation for several months while they wait for a heart transplant.
It becomes very satisfying, gratifying if I'm able to offer an advanced therapy to give them a fighting chance at life.
That fighting chance came 30 days later with brand new hearts. Their celebration of life fittingly held at Sutter, where this dynamic duo thanked their medical team.
If it wasn't for this team here, I would not be here today.
Gratitude for the gift of life and a journey shared with a brother.
We felt like we were already kind of brothers to start, and it's been great ever since.
Gratitude, gifts, and brotherhood. That's a winning combination there. All right, stay with us, because coming up, you're going to meet an 11-year-old girl who thought she'd have to put her dreams of playing basketball on hold. And she met strangers who showed her there was a way to play. Plus, the dog who found himself stuck in a place he was not supposed to be when rescuers came to save him. He worked with them to get out. When a dog in Minnesota found himself in a bit of a doggy dilemma, he worked with rescuers who showed up to help him. Here's CBS Minnesota's Jonah Kaplan with that story.
Yeah, pretty unconventional place to start a story in the middle of that well. But check it out. It's about 16 to 18 inches wide in diameter, so probably the size of a New York pizza. But you can see there's also pipes protruding. So this is really an incredible story for a number of reasons.
Gannicus himself wasn't up for an interview, but he also wasn't shy in front of the camera. The 60-pound English Springer Spaniel fell more than 30 feet into this well, a surprise to him and a shock to his family, who only moved here last month.
I didn't get close enough because I didn't know what it was at that time.
It was Gannicus's nonstop barking that caught the Nide family's attention. They then called the Redwood County Sheriff, who then called the local fire chief.
Well, on the way out, we were discussing what we were going to do, and we kind of joked around, and I didn't half jokingly said, well, maybe we have to put a piece of steak on a rope and drop it down there, and hopefully he'll grab onto it and pull him out.
They didn't have the stake, but they did lower rope with a hoop at the end, hoping they'd maybe catch a leg. Instead, Gannicus bit and latched on himself.
All you could see is his white teeth shining back at us.
According to state officials, more than 1 million Minnesotans rely on wells for their drinking water, but a lot of wells, they're not being used anymore, which is why in the 1970s, there was a law put in place requiring unused wells to be covered. The law also requiring homeowners to disclose all wells on the property, which the Nide said the previous owners didn't do, but they'll soon seal it permanently.
I can imagine what would have happened. I mean, any of us could have found it on accident, so just have to get it sealed as soon as we can. And he's happy too. Okay. Oh, now you're tugging him more. Show off.
Man's best friend getting a little bit of help from some friends. Love that story. All right, we're going to turn now to the story of a girl whose dream of playing basketball was dashed until she found an alternative. Here's Caitlin O'Kane.
11-year-old Grace Chandy usually has one thing on her mind.
One more. I listen to NBA radio in the car with my dad. I actually always wanted to play in the WNBA.
But last year, Grace had to put those basketball dreams on hold. She experienced extreme back pain and fell while at home. That led to her needing back surgery and many months of recovery, during which she had to use a wheelchair.
Once Grace got in a wheelchair, she kind of didn't want to really go to the park, go out to eat or anything because people would stare, and kids sometimes would say things, or it just felt very uncomfortable for her, and that was really hard.
Grace received surgery at Tier Memorial Hermann in Houston, and there she received something else, the opportunity to get back on the court. The hospital has an adaptive sports program, and Grace was invited to watch the Hot Wheels, a team of kids her age playing her favorite sport in wheelchairs.
I wanted to cry, when I first walked into that gym and I'm seeing all these kids in wheelchairs playing basketball. It was amazing too to just see these kids are in wheelchairs and it's not like their life is over. It's not like they're depressed or they were just so vibrant.
Grace said it looked intense, but she decided to sign up for the team. Despite being new to using a wheelchair, she got the hang of it quickly. And at a recent tournament in Dallas, she scored 2 points.
It was actually very exciting because that was my first white ever for like in a game.
At a time when she thought her dreams were dashed, Grace got to play basketball again.
My favorite part is probably just that I get to play the sport that I love, even if I'm in a wheelchair. It's still fun.
After she came home the first day, my husband was saying, you know, like, I see that old Grace again. Like, I see her happy. We haven't seen that in a long time.
After recovering from her back surgery, another part of the old Grace came back, and she walked out of Tier on her own. Fortunately, she still gets to stay on the Hot Wheels team. In terms of gains, there's nothing but net.
Caitlin O'Kane does it again. That's a lovely piece. All right, coming up, how did this young woman help turn her family business around? She used a simple tool available to all of us. Stay with us. When her family's restaurant struggled in the wake of the pandemic, a grad student in California helped in the best way she knew how. Here's David Begnaud with more on how she saved the family restaurant.
It all started with this TikTok. It makes me so sad to see my parents just wait for customers to walk through the door at their Vietnamese restaurant. Jennifer Lee posted that back in January, along with some reviews.
And it's like my favorite. It's so good.
Of her favorite dishes from her family's restaurant.
And we give a lot of portions too. So good, so good.
In Santa Rosa, California.
Just come check us out. I really hope to see you guys there. Thank you.
Lee's Noodle House has been open for 20 years. But financial trouble started in 2017 when the deadly Tubbs fire, then the largest wildfire in California history, devastated Santa Rosa. Their building survived, but left the Lee family out of business for a month. Then there was the pandemic. Their dining room was forced to close for 6 months. To-go food only. Jennifer's father is Vuong Lee.
Basically, we cannot afford to hire employees. So hard, so we have to hang in tight and just me and my wife and just hang there and try to survive.
Lee and his wife cook the food. They serve it too, and their children help when they can. Jennifer, a grad student in Southern California, thought maybe my TikToks will go viral, and that might help the family business.
So this is our Yelp review. If you guys can take photos of your food and upload it, it would really help my parents' business. So thank you guys all so much for the support and love. Thank you.
It worked. More than 1 million people viewed her first video. And you know what happened after that?
I was shocked to see how many people were here.
Almost immediately, new customers were walking through the door, packing into the tiny 50-seat restaurant. Heck, even the longtime customers couldn't believe it.
It's a little too crowded for me at the moment.
So much so that Jennifer ended up flying home to Northern California just so she could help her parents serve the food.
Wow, the power of social media is like insane.
Okay, come with me to Lee's Noodle House.
When Erica Altis saw Jennifer's TikTok, she activated her own audience of more than 100,000 people on Instagram to help. But first, she took her family to eat at Lee's so they could try the food.
I realized I live less than 2 miles from this place, and so I decided to call on my audience, because I have a big local following, and ask them if they would like to contribute to a larger tip after I'm done with my meal and pay for my meal and pay for my tip.
The meal was
so delicious, so fresh. The bun was perfection. You've got to go here. The best part, though, are these guys, the owners.
The tip ended up being...
I ended up raising $2,000 to give to the family for their restaurant. You know, my community did that for them.
How is it being a local, being someone who likes to contribute to the conversation locally, to watch the goodness that has come about for this restaurant from strangers thanks to social media?
I know, it's incredible, because not only did people donate near and far to go towards the tip, but people, you know, came in for lunch, and they're continuing to come, which is so cool to see that there's so much momentum still behind it. And it wasn't just like one solid weekend of business, it's been weeks of business, which is, I think, you know, changed their entire business from closing and being able to stay open, which is incredible.
It's no secret I love the food.
Oh.
So your favorite thing's still the pot stickers?
I think so, but I mean, I would eat everything.
Mr. Lee served us and everyone else that day. His wife was back in the kitchen cooking, and that's where I first met them.
Oh, hello, David.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming.
That donation from Altus is going to help the Lee family start making some improvements around here.
Be honest with you, that money that's going to help like fix the AC, central air conditioner, buy a new ice machine. Let's carry on. Because my ice machine broke down, my central air broke down, so hopefully I use that money to repair this summer.
Meanwhile, if you're ever in Santa Rosa and you can't get a seat, there's always takeout. And this takeaway.
I think it just gives you kind of a restored faith in humanity, right? I think with so much going on in the world that people want some good news, and we need to get it more into the mix. So I love that you guys are doing this and you're highlighting this, because it may make people do this in their own communities and try to support restaurants in their own communities or any business in their community that's struggling. And so I think that's the takeaway, is one small act can go a far way.
To that.
Yeah.
It's just brings so much love and joy to my family, because without the people from community, I don't know if I can survive.
That is David Begnaud once again, and that is our show. I hope it brightened your day, lifted you up. I'm confident that it did. Reruns, of course, they're free. Meantime, I'm going to go find some good news.